Hello. Episode number 8 is here, Princeton Makes podcast. I am your host, Zohar Lavi-Hasson. And today we have Marlon Davila. Hi, Marlon.
Hi,
Good
thank you for
morning.
having me. Good morning.
It's very early today. We're recording at 8:49. Before we start to talk with Marlon, I want to always explain that Princeton Make is an artist cooperative. We are about now 37 artists,
About that.
I think. And we are located at the shopping center. We have a lovely store and we have plenty of studios in the back now. So part of the idea is so people can come in, shop, also go back and visit artists and talk with artists. And Marlon is very, very, very talkative with our guests. You're really good at that, but also I think you love it. And people love talking to you.
I do love it. I do. I feel like when people stop by to the studios, they get to know a little bit more about where the art is coming from and the history. And I guess I'm good at, just explaining where the inspirations all come through.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So please visit us here. We'd love to see you. Marlon is the artist of the month here at Princeton Makes. So that means he'll have his work in the window. And also he has an artist talk. When is your artist talk? Do you remember?
It's Saturday, May 20th. Everyone's invited, by the way. It starts at 6:30. We'll have some food. And then at 7 p.m. sharp, we'll start the artist talk.
Great. So today we're going to talk about Marlon's journey to being an artist. And we're going to talk about love. So before we go into your journey, can you say what kind of art you make and
Sure. So I typically paint. My favorite medium is oil and surrealism, and that is typically what I normally do in my studio time. And that is a practice that I do regularly. But I also do murals, and I work with the community. Right now, I am working with Community Park School, and I will be creating a mural along with all the students in the exterior walls of one side of the school. So that'll take place in late May, early June. So it's really exciting.
Cool. I didn't know you were doing that.
Yeah.
And did you paint a piano this year? No.
Last year, I painted a piano.
Right.
This year I did not, but I've been. I also have a residency with the kindergartners at Community Park School. I love working with the community, and I love sharing the knowledge that I have gained, especially with the children.
Yeah.
I feel like creativity is a form of expression, and that is something that we need to work on as a general. I feel like in schools that gets placed at the bottom of the list versus the top.
Mm-hmm. As someone who's across from your studio, I see that you make people, like a lot of faces there. So can you talk about that?
I feel like I'm very fascinated by people and the facial expressions. And I feel that, lately I've been thinking about why do I paint people? I feel that, from time to time, when we walk outside of the door, sometimes we put a mask on. Sometimes we take it off. Mm-hmm. So that, I think I'm playing with that subconsciously.
Yeah.
Subconsciously.
You think you paint more the mask or no mask?
It's certainly a type of mask, I feel. I know that, when I go into work, the minute I step into work, it's work mode on. So that's a type of mask I feel. The more authentic masks I feel, the masks get taken off, I guess, when you're comfortable at home and no pressure about anything. But I feel the minute we walk outside the door, we put a mask on. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, expression is something that I'm very passionate about. And I just want to tell a story. I want to tell a story, not only faces, but through, I don't want to do your typical portraits. I want to do more. I feel like Frida Kahlo is a big inspiration for me because she painted herself. But if you look at her the history of what she would do is she would have symbols in the background. And I can relate to that because I can tell a story better if I paint versus me telling it to you or anybody else.
Okay.
So that's what I'm pretty much trying to do, tell a story, and the story of love.
Okay. You sign your work as love child. Can you explain why?
I am a love child. I don't know my biological father, and love child has I feel like it has a negative tone to it. So I wanted to flip the meaning of it into a more positive way. And the L, I flipped it around and it's a 7. And 7 happens to be my favorite number. So it was just a win-win situation for me. I was like, okay, I'm signing my name as 7OVE child. But it's literally an L that I flipped because I'm flipping the meaning of it into a more positive way. So yeah, every painting that I now create is signed as Love Child, and Love Child has no inhibitions. Love Child is not afraid. Love Child is community oriented and just wants to thrive and make the world create as much as they can.
Yeah. And it's made out of love, but also it's giving love.
Giving love, absolutely.
It's awesome. So how did you become an artist?
It was a mistake, actually. I mean, a beautiful mistake. I went back. I was working at Princeton University, and I took advantage of their resources that they had there for employees, and I went back to school at Mercer County Community College. I knew I was good at doodling and doing, art, but I didn't know I was a painter. I didn't know how to paint. So I went back for graphic design. And my first class, I decided to take a life drawing class. And the professor there suggested that I take a painting class. And it took me for a surprise because I never expected him to say that. And I guess he must have known what he was talking about because the minute that I took the painting class, I knew that I found the love that I didn't know I had. Wow. I completely fell in love with painting. That was in 2010.
Okay.
In 2010. I graduated in 2015 with honors, which was a great accomplishment. It goes to show that if you put 100% of your passion into something, it blooms.
So talk about that. So what did you do after you finished your
So I was very passionate about this whole thing, growing as an artist, learning about exhibiting at different places. So I started exploring New York City.
Oh.
And I've always loved fashion since I was a little kid. So I teamed up with this group of people that would do fashion shows / art.
Oh.
And so this man would have fashion shows in New York City, and along the sides, he would have artists displaying their artwork. Oh. And I became a part of that group, and we would do it like once a month. Okay. It was a lot of work, and it was a great experience, but would I do it again? Hauling the art back and forth is not an easy task. So I tried it. I got the experience, I soaked my feet in it, and I feel like right now I'm just focusing on creating. Just creating.
So after that experience, you moved to creating?
After that experience, I decided that I was going to lay back a little bit and just focus on volume, creating volume. One of the biggest goals in my life is to have my own solo show. I haven't had it yet. So I feel that I'm getting to that point where my volume is picking up, and I'm reaching that point where I can have a solo, and that's the goal. We'll see what changes after that, but that is the main goal.
Where would you like to have a solo show?
That's a great question. But, when you asked me that question, right away I thought myself, the Arts Council.
Okay.
We'll start there.
Yeah.
I do have a solo lined up, which is beginning of summer at the public library here in Princeton.
Oh, cool.
So it's exciting, nerve-wracking.
Where there?
On the second level, they have a little section there where, they display walls. They have artists every 2 months, I feel.
Okay.
So I'm doing that in June, and then in Edison, I will also be exhibiting my solo. So it is coming up in the near future. It's exciting. And, for me, I feel like being here at the Co-op is the best thing I could have ever done because, as artists, we tend to, be solo in our studios. And here we get to, chit-chat with other artists, fellow artists, and get ideas from. So now I have two studio spaces, one at home and one here, which is, amazing because it gets me out of my solo life.
Can you talk about how you got here?
So I met Jim while doing a residency at the Arts Council. And there I did a mural with the Arts Council, and that's where I met Jim. He was the head guy at the Arts Council, and that's where we built the relationship. And when he found out about this place, he sent me an email and asked me if I was interested, and I said, "Oh my God, absolutely." Yeah, that's how I know Jim, through the Arts Council.
And do you sell your work?
I do sell my work. It's not my main goal. My main goal right now is to build the volume. I don't necessarily want to sell my pieces off because I work so hard with them. I don't want to hoard them, but I want to, it's a collection. It's a collection from beginning to end. And if they sell, great, but it's not my main objection. My main objection is to have the whole volume of pieces, just telling that story of what I'm trying to convey to the public.
So please tell the story.
What I'm trying to convey is the message of love. And it all started with, during the pandemic, a little earlier before the pandemic, I started delving into knowing myself a little better. I studied the greats, like Da Vinci. In one of his books, he always recommended going out to nature, being inspired by nature. And when I took that advice and I started going out into nature and learning a little more about myself. And when you start learning about yourself, you start learning that taking care of yourself is the primary thing that could get you to be the best artist that you can be. And that's my goal. I want to be, I studied the greats. I want to be like the greats. I don't know if I'll be like the greats, but I just, can try. So I've made it a mission to just go full force with the art, and knowing myself is the best way I can do that. And then, so how do I do that? By loving and nourishing myself. And if I can do that, then I can love everyone else. So somehow or another, I want to convey that message through my art. And I think it's coming to fruition. I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about this piece that I'm going to be exhibiting on May 20th that speaks about shadow work. And shadow work is basically dealing with your darkest emotions. We all have triggers. We all have little things that, just trigger us.
Yeah.
But sometimes we tend to suppress them.
Right.
But how do we get past that? It's not by suppressing them, but it's actually by acknowledging them, making peace with it, and moving forward. It's self-care.
Yes. So that's going to be shadows of yourself, or?
It's pretty much me telling the story through myself, obviously. And, I'm always going to be a work in progress. I feel like there's always something to be worked on. But if I can, shed a light on what I'm working on, maybe someone can relate to it and, and grow from it. If that's the goal, And obviously, art appreciation is our main objection as artists, right? We want to be appreciated, and we want to be acknowledged in some way or form.
And loved.
And loved. And if the message comes across, then that, I did my job. That's, that's the goal for me.
Yeah. And I feel like from your paintings, you see the love that you have for people. It comes out of the painting somehow, out of all these faces.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm a slow painter. I don't paint really fast, and I like details. And it takes me. I feel like I'm a turtle when it comes to that race, the turtle and the rabbit. Mm-hmm. But I'd rather be the turtle because at the end it may take longer for my pieces to get finished. Yeah. But once they're done, the message I feel like is coming across. So we'll see. And I feel like this is the process that artists we all have to go through. And I just want to enjoy it as much as I can. Yeah. And stay grounded. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. A lot of times, like my daughter, she's 7, she comes home, she's like, today in art, we did this and that. And I was the fastest person to finish. I was the first person to finish the thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how is that important,
Right.
And you teach at schools. So can you talk a little bit about that?
That is one of the things that I try to tell my students is that, finishing an art piece fast doesn't always necessarily mean that it's about taking your time and, going back and forth. One of the big things that I teach my students is mistakes. Mm. Because nobody wants to create a mistake, but there's something beautiful about a mistake that we can learn so much from. And sometimes a mistake becomes a beautiful mistake that, you never intended to have, but then, wait a minute, oh my God, wait, this could work with my piece, right. So not, getting frustrated with a mistake, but just maybe letting it sit there and walking away from it, leaving it there, coming back to it another time, so that you have more clarity on it. Right. And, and if you try to finish it right away, you can't see that.
Yes.
So that's the beauty about, like, taking your time with something versus rushing.
Yeah, totally.
A mistake could be a beautiful, turnout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you go away, you come back, it looks like something totally different. Especially with paintings. I see that's so strong when I tried a little bit.
And, with painting, mistakes are always going to come to play. Mm-hmm. It's just in the nature of painting. A lot of back and forth, a lot of walking away and leaving it alone. So, that's one of the big messages that I try to tell my students, because we're so hard on ourselves sometimes, when we can't get something right. But hey, maybe it's not supposed to be that way.
Right.
Yeah. And then that's when I start playing with the art and intuition. When I paint, I like to play with my intuition a lot, which it's almost like delving into your higher self. And allowing for freedom of spirit to come through. So it's not only, it's something inside of us, that a voice within us that, tells us, oh, this could go here or that could go there. Yeah. I like that.
And your paintings are so actually precise and accurate.
Too much sometimes.
Do you paint from imaginations, from photos, from people, from how?
That's a good question. How I have a main idea. Once I have a main idea, then I also have a muse, if that makes any sense. I meet people, random people, and sometimes they become my muses. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I also get disappointed with my muses. Yeah, I do. It's a very personal thing. But so it starts out with a main idea, a concept, and then it grows, it evolves slowly. But it's me playing with my spirit, my higher self, and then it just, it's a feeling in my stomach when it feels right. I feel like a tingling sensation. I even cry sometimes. Wow. When I cry, I know, okay, this is it. I'm crying, I did it. It's emotional. Yeah. When an emotion picks up, I know it's right.
So do you take photos of these muses?
So that's another thing. So I do, so on social media, I follow some of these people, my muses, and I take from photo, and then I use a lot of symbols with my paintings as well to tell, I guess, to finish telling the story of what I'm trying to convey. And it almost like ties in with everything. But yes, I'm very visual. So if I need to paint something, let's say I'm going to paint a cat, and a cat in motion and doing some kind of, I need to look it up and see what it looks like. So it looks accurate. In this latest piece that I'm going to exhibit on May 20th, I have 2 cats in the background, but I didn't measure correctly. So I had 2 giant cats. And unfortunately, that's what comes with, to play with creating an art piece. I had to put paint over it and start over and measure right so that the cats looked in proportion with the rest of the painting.
So that mistake did not work for you.
That mistake did not work for me. And it's okay.
Scrappy.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah.
It's being patient and a lot of focus. So,
okay. But you make these people, like you said, you have to look at the picture you're painting, but then you don't keep it realistic like that, right?
Perfect. I don't want to keep it realistic because I feel like, for me personally, I feel like it's a bit boring. I always want to keep that child mentality in my paintings. Just because Picasso always said it, paint like a child. And I want to keep that because I feel like the child in us is always very colorful, bright, and just not afraid. And so, when I paint a portrait, I want it to be almost childlike, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does.
Art is so magnificent because when I started out, learning how to paint, never in a million years would I have known that I would be so passionate about working with the community. And that's where I'm at in my life in art, is that I want to bring the community together. I just feel like art can help do that. And, by doing this amazing project at Community Park, we are bringing the community together. We're in touch with local businesses, and they're supporting this project. I'm also getting a few college artists that, are in school, and they're going to come along to help out with this project. So it's tying in with the community, with college students, the elementary students, the teachers, an overall great feeling. And if I can help in any way, shape, or form, bring the community together, then I feel like I've done my job.
That's amazing. We're going to move to our rapid questions part. Are you ready?
I'm ready,
I'm glad.
as can be.
Okay, yes. What is your favorite artist of all time?
Frida Kahlo.
But you said it with a better accent than me. What is your favorite material to create with?
Oil.
What music do you like to listen to, or podcast, or anything when you create?
Rosalia lately. She's a Spanish singer, and she's just touching my heart lately. And podcast is Gaia podcast, which talks about the spirit world, nature, and just consciousness.
What is the space that you feel the most creative at?
In my studio space.
What is your worst artistic nightmare?
Oh my God. Not being able to finish an art piece.
So they all have to be finished?
Actually, that's such a great question because I feel like they're never finished.
Oh. When do you know? How do you know when a piece is finished?
Learning how to walk away from it and being okay with it. I feel like that's the right answer to that question. Yeah.
This is it for us today. Before we wrap up, let's mention your website, Instagram, and all that.
My website is lovechild.com. So it's a 7OVE child.com. And it's the same for Instagram at lovechild.
Okay, and also you have your work here at Princeton Makes.
I do.
Of course. Thank you for coming. RD is our graphic design, and our theme music is by Renata Pugh. I'm Zohar Lavi-Hasson, producing and hosting. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, and also if you want to ask our artists any question, please email to princetonmakes@gmail.com. And also let us know if you want to be on our mailing list, because we have a lot of events here. Please rate and share this podcast if you think it can reach others and inspire them. We are located at the Princeton Shopping Center, and we are open Thursday to Sunday, 10 to 6. So come and see our new setup and support your local artists.
Thank you so much, Zohar. It was so much fun.
Thank you, Marlon. And have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, you too.